like Antoinette said, I've known her since, this sounds very Antoinette, but I've known her since she was a little girl. I've known her since she was small. But it's always refreshing and it's always super encouraging to see your friends and people that you knew from your young age grow and succeed and thrive. Hi everyone. We've already been chatting for a little bit, but my name is Nama Nzadiru. I am the host, the creator, the founder, the stylist, the graphic designer of the meant to be of the meant to be all in one. Actually, that's a lie. I'm not the graphic designer. Someone else created the design of, so shout out to that person. But I am the creator, founder of the meant to be, and the host as well. And today with me is the lovely Antoinette Oknokwo. I'm going to give her the floor to introduce herself and get into her story just a little bit before we delve in.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Antoinette. I'm a final year med student, but yeah, I just technically went around to this medical school last week. I just got my results. We saw like
And you passed. And you passed. Make sure you say you passed. You passed. Yes.
Like I got things to do, but the main thing is done now.
That's good.
I go to the University of Sheffield in the UK, and should I say I'm now? I'm currently in New York.
Yeah.
Currently like traveling just to like relax after my exams. And I went to school in Nigeria with Noah, which is so crazy that we've known each other since like 2011.
I'm telling you, years. That's crazy.
I started Nigeria, moved to the UK, and yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Antoinette, and thank you for being so responsive. I actually want to change up our format a little bit. So usually I always like kind of rush and go into asking you like why you want to go to medical school. We get into the deep stuff, nitty gritty, but I kind of want to keep it light at first. I wanted us to do some rapid fire questions that are just very like calm. I don't know if they're fun. I tried to look up like fun questions, fun quirky questions to ask, but like medicine and it's always very rigid. So I tried to find like some lighthearted things. So we're gonna I'm telling you something to liven up the room, but we'll see. Okay. So the first question is, which fictional doctor from TV, books, or movies do you think you're most like? Don't say Meredith Grey.
You know what's so funny? It's like, you know, I watched Grey's Anatomy like 7 or 8 times. So that's
that is 19 20 seasons.
Yeah.
I
just love Grey's Anatomy. So that was the first show that came into my head. Like I was trying to decide like which Grey's Anatomy character am I. But let me think. Let me try to not say Meredith Grey.
Okay.
I can think about someone else in all this medical shows I've watched.
I'll let you say Meredith Grey, just in case. So it's not okay, Meredith Grey. Okay.
But I
and why?
It's different parts of Meredith. Like at the beginning of the show, like Meredith is a whiny, like white girl that is in love with like this older guy. It's not like locked into her medicine. I saw like where I started loving Meredith is like when she starts getting older and she's about the medicine, and you can like she's very locked in. I mean, she did the like abdominal transplants, and she did. I don't know if you watched Grey's Anatomy.
Honestly, I have found it hard to get into it because it's so long. That's the only reason why. But I watched the first season. I watched the first season. So
she did like the abdominal transplant. Then she did the Alzheimer's. That she also did the like, I think it's like 8 hours of surgery. Like she was on a clock for like the number of like surgery she's done. So she stood up for our patients all the time, regardless. And I think that's the Meredith that I like most related to.
Wow, I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, Meredith Grey, Antoinette Grey. Okay. Next question is, if your life was a medical drama, what would the title be?
Wow. Who let her in here?
What?
Who let her in here?
Who let her in here? What in the world? Shai, what is this show about, please?
Just like I can imagine it would be like it's true about this girl whose life is so like imperfect, but somehow like she makes some braids and she almost like always knows what she's talking about. But still it's like there's still a part of her that's like, how are you gonna sort this part out?
I hear that. That's relatable though. That's very real. I would actually like to delve into that a little bit
That's
after
not
our last question, but I really like that. I actually really like how I would watch it. I think that's a great idea. My last question is, what is the most, and if this doesn't apply, then we can skip it, but what is the most valuable lesson you've learned from a patient?
um letting things go.
Okay.
Like I think that's my because I think like I came in contact with a couple sick patients at one of my rotations. I think it was palliative care, and one of the things I learned, and again, like would be the biggest thing I've learned from patients is letting things go, like
Mhm.
allowing things be, and like I feel sometimes when things happen to people, they tend to like get into the, like they stay down for a couple more months that maybe they should have, like they're
Right.
sad for a while that they should have. But I think I learned to just let things be and like let things go. So I'm easy to move past things.
Mm,
I find it easier to just reconcile with things and keep it moving. Like I always say, I'm 22 and I'm not 50, so it's fine.
yeah.
We're good. So I think that's one of the things that's like important things. Sorry, that I've learned. Yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful. Wow, definitely love that for sure. Letting things go. I'm taking notes on that one. Okay. Now we're done with the rapid fire questions, so we can chill a little bit and we can delve a little bit deeper into the nitty gritty. So the usual standard why medicine question. Why did you choose to pursue a career in medicine? And I want to buckle down a little bit, because we went to school in Nigeria, and you could have gone to school in the US, you could have gone to school anywhere in the world. So why did you choose one to pursue a career in medicine, and why in the UK?
I feel like I'm not answering why medicine question. Like the really
Well,
because that's the first question you get asked when you get.
yeah, standard.
Um, I think for me, like was a couple of things. I obviously because my dad's a doctor, so I saw early on what being a doctor meant, and like he had a hospital, so sometimes he'd go with him. And I kind of saw what his life was as a doctor. And I guess I knew a lot about being a doctor at the time. And most of the people feel like my parents was our first links and first child, and my dad's a doctor. But my dad was against me being like, not against me.
Wow.
He was very much, I think you should explore the hospitals. Like, medicine is not all that it's cut out to be. Like, he wasn't like, you have to do medicine. So
Mhm.
that kind of came from me. And when we did a service project, in Loyola, I had the autism center,
Oh, me
the
too. I need to
the
share that as well.
LG Foundation. That one,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, dear.
yeah, and I found that really interesting. When we had to do the like autism presentation, like the research, what causes autism, even just like being in that school and being exposed to kids that were special needs that I felt like I didn't know about, and I think that kind of added to me just being like, I want to do something in healthcare. I want to do something like scientific, something where you're in lectures, like you're doing the learning, but you're also kind of applying it early on. And so when I got to my A levels and it was kind of time to pick subjects, I'm still not decided on definitely I would go to medical school. I think it was like 80 medicine, 20 still like economics. And I think when I looked at the course and what everything would entail, I that's how I then chose like because you do 5 years of medical school or 6 years, and
Mm,
first 3 years you're kind of in lectures, and then for the next 3 years you're with patients, you're on the wards, like. And I knew I was that kind of person that would enjoy the course like that,
okay.
and the added plus being like being a doctor, which I thought at the time like you can only be a doctor when I go to medical school. That's the one profession that it's like it is what it is in that sense. Like people
Yeah.
study electrical engineering and then they end up in tech jobs, or the people study economics and end up in consulting. That's like there was a lot of fluidity in ostracized though, but I like, in my opinion, like, or even not, just what it is, like, that's an education I could only get in medical school. And
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of like was my decision. Of course, when I did my interviews, I said like I love science and I love people, want to help people, which is
Mm-hmm.
true. I help
Yeah.
people. Because I think for me it was a very practical decision and just very like practical
Thought
choice
out. Yeah.
and thought out like not tough plan rather than I had a dream I wanted to be a cardiologist. Like that was
Yes. Yes, and people have those stories as well, but I also love that there is a lot of reasoning to what you're describing. It's very thought out, and you could have gone another route. You could have gone the financial, but you also thought you made that decision for yourself. It's very powerful. Going to medical school, turning your practical dream into a practical action and vision. What did that look like for you? So going to school in the UK, from the research that I did, walk us through your A levels IB program to applying, the number of schools you're able to apply to.
yeah.
Like you said, the UK, going to school in the UK is about 5-6 years. I was doing some research and I saw the 5-6, and I'm curious, why is it 5 or 6? Why is there not like a certain number? So
Okay.
let's get into that. Yes.
My mom was very dead set on the UK. Like that
Okay.
that's the stress as the answer I can get. So the A level school I went to was called Concord College, and in SS1 I had done a summer program there, and then the principal had like interviewed me. I do not remember why I ended up in an interview with him, but he had interviewed me, and he was like, at the time, what's your favorite subject and all of these questions, and at the time it was actually economics because I was in like Mr. Otis class and I loved him. So I was like, I love economics. I think I'm gonna sway that way. So you can even see like at the beginning I was still very much like not
Mhm.
dead set on something. And so he had asked me to like define economics or something like that. Do you remember when we did econs and that
I do. Yeah.
1975, like the
Mhm.
mid and that thing? But I
Yeah.
crammed everything, sent all of that to him, and he's like, "Wow, I think you're really smart." I mean, we talked about a couple of things, but after that interview, he offered me a place
Wow.
at college for 3 years in advance, right? So that would have been,
Woo.
yeah. So then I
Wow.
told mom, like, then they emailed my mom saying, we really like her from her summer camp. Like, we really want her to come here in
Wow.
2 years, 2.5 years, whatever. And so there was already that option from the get-go.
Mhm.
And so when it was time to apply, and I still wanted to go to America, funny enough. But my mom was very, like it was a thing. She was like, "You're doing this, we're not going to talk about it anymore." So that's how I ended up doing like the A level program because I already had that. I never really explored IB
Mhm.
more, like in that term, but I guess A levels offered more stability in the terms of like
Mhm.
I already knew where I was gonna end up. And so when
Exactly.
it was, you kind of pick your subjects around what you want to study in university. And at the time, I picked bio, chemistry, physics, math. So at this time now, I've dropped economics. So that's already out. At this time was
Mhm.
set on like medicine and thing. And then you apply to medical school. So you can only apply to 5 schools in the UK. But when you apply to medical school, you can only do 4 schools because your
Mm.
5th school has to be like a like some medical option. Sometimes that
Okay.
China counts as a safety net in case you don't get into 4 schools. And so I'd applied to UCL, King's College London, University College London, King's College London, University of Bristol, and University of Sheffield. Which again, like, is so interesting because I thought I was going to UCL. I definitely thought I had the grades and everything set. So my mind is really like, I'm gonna get into UCL. And
Mhm.
then I didn't get in. And
Mhm.
I had the UCL, the King's, Bristol, Sheffield. I selected very last minute. I did not know where Sheffield was. One person went to Sheffield, so
Okay.
my counselor was like, "You have to put in an additional score," and I literally just scrolled down and I was like, "Oh, I know this school," and I put Sheffield in,
Wow.
which is so funny because guess where I then ended up?
That's literally where you ended up. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Wow.
So you do all your exams. So you do the UK CAT, which it's like aptitude tests. It's like memory reasoning, mathematics, abstract reasoning, and something else. And then you do something called the BMAT, which is like more scientific besides an essay at the end. So some schools will use the UK CAT and some schools use the BMAT. So UCL, which I applied to, was a BMAT school, so I had to take the BMAT. And then you kind of have the summer to prep for both exams, and then you take the exams when you feel like you can. And then, but you have to take it before sort of the application cycle starts. And every school will have a cutoff because the UK CAT also has something called the situational judgment test, which like they score you in bands and they just ask you, I guess, like situations in hospitals or situations with your friends, and then you have to pick which decision you do, and then at the end they put you in a band. So each school will have a cutoff for all these tests. So I spent the summer of 2018 sort of prepping for all these exams. And then you take it when you feel like you're prepared to take it. No one kind of guides you. Your school will do a few prep, but you'd have to I can imagine the MCAT prep on your own, take the exam. The UK classes are like 3,600 because each section is 900 points. And I think I ended up getting it to 700 or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember because my verbal reasoning was really, really bad, and I guess my quantitative reasoning kind of made up. And then situational judgment, I was a band 2. So it's band 1 to 4, and I was a band 2. And then I think I just did averagely. I wasn't super good in any one of them. I think I just did an average score. And then I applied. So I picked class schools and I applied, and you get something called predicted grades. Because the way that your offer is made is kind of conditional. If you haven't had your final results yet, it'll be conditional. If you already have your A-level results and maybe you took a year out and now you're applying with the actual results, it'll be unconditional. Okay. So because it's conditional, your school comes up with predicted grades, which they have to submit to the universities that you're applying to. We predict the students will get A star, AA. Because different schools need different offers from you. So Cambridge may need A star, AA, or Bristol may need AAA. So if you're predicted like AAA, then Cambridge may not really look like the best choice that you're going to make, seeing as they're going to ask you for an A star AA. There's things like that. I think I got predicted 4 A stars. I think that was my prediction 4 A stars, which is why I thought it was definitely because UCL did not end up with UCL. So I got rejected from UCL. I got rejected from King's College. I got waitlisted by Bristol, and I got asked to do an interview at Sheffield because everyone has to. So then you get to the interviews, and then Sheffield was my only interview. Came and did that in December. So I interviewed in Sheffield December 6th of 2018, and then head back February 14th of the next year. So that the next year, I have these dates in my head of the next year. Yeah. So
wow.
It's a waiting game. I remember that being a very tough time for my parents and everything because I thought I was clear gonna get into at least 2 schools. And just because I felt like I put in the work. And then when that didn't happen, it was rejection after rejection after rejection. And my parents, you know how Nigerian friends are. But my parents are shaking, I'm shaking. Because remember you applied to 5 schools. So my 5th school had accepted me. So I applied to King's College for pharmacy. So I just from King's College. And my dad was like, the worst thing that happened, you can just take the pharmacy offer. So just a lot of you're just waiting. And then I think I finally got the email and I was like,
exhale, wasn't
because I did not know where Sheffield was.
Did you at least look it up after?
Not really.
Did you visit?
I visited when I interviewed.
Okay.
But I mean, life happens. But yeah.
It does. Okay, wow.
The 5 to 6 years thing is because so you can intercalate in the middle, which is you can do another degree for 1 year. Some schools it's compulsory. So Cambridge is compulsory, Oxford is compulsory, Imperial, UCL, that you have to do it. Some schools it's optional. So my school is optional, and I chose not to. So that's how I ended up doing 5 years. Whereas a
Okay.
couple of my friends did. So that means they are now in the year below and they'll graduate next year. So that's the 6 years, 5 years thing.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yes. I was aware. Yeah, I was aware that sometimes people take a pause in between to get another degree.
Yeah.
So with that expectation versus reality, are you happy that you went to Sheffield? And my second question is, would you advise people to what's the word? Would you advise people to do a course in between? Just want to give a disclaimer that for me, not even for Antoinette, that Antoinette is not representing the UK medical school institution. This is only her experience. That's just by the way. She's not speaking for the United Kingdom. She's just speaking for herself. I just want to make that clear. So her experience is unique in the sense that she was in the UK, but it's also unique because it's her experience. I just want to make that clear. But go ahead. I just wanted to hear from you.
I think the first question is, would I go like execution versus like reality with Sheffield? No,
Yes, expectation versus reality.
I went to Sheffield. Like that's the thing about life. It will work out. Like there's so many there's like benefits I've gotten from going to Sheffield that I'm happy with.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's that part. And I guess the other part is like, would I advise people to sort of take the year out and
Yeah.
do another course? Definitely. Like if that's
Okay.
something, but I'd say this, right? Because you're paying for it. If you're international, you're paying for that extra year.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? So it comes at a cost, and I feel it has to be something you want to do.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Like yes, I mean, you can want to take a break after medical school. That can be an option. Like then that's an option. But for me, that's an expensive break after medical school. Like
Yeah.
it's so expensive to do that. Cost of living, the naira to the pound, like it's not.
That's not
It's
even.
not.
That's not even. Yeah.
I think it has to be something that you're really, you're like, I really want to study that, or I know like doing another course like sometimes add points to your application at the end because you can do research, you can publish, you like get into another field like in medicine and like overly, like build up your portfolio. So it's good for. But for me, when I weighed it, I kind of just thought, do I want a break now? If I take a break, what's my headspace going to be like when I come back?
Yeah.
That's what I break. And also, again, as I said, that's an expensive break. So that's why I decided not to do one. But I know
Okay.
those who did it and they enjoyed it. They enjoyed their break, helped them relax. They've come back, like different mindsets. They feel more rejuvenated to continue. They've published. They've like had like the networking experience. Now know
Yeah.
people from different fields that will probably help them along the way in their sort of degree and their career and things. But for me, it just wasn't a strong inkling to do it, so I just kind of left it.
I hear that. And that's totally okay. Before we move into the next topic, I just wanted to once again I want to thank you for sharing the expectation versus reality thing because I really relate to that for my undergrad for Drexel. I was telling someone in an interview a few days ago that Drexel was the last school that I wanted to go to. I don't know if you remember, but like for some reason, everyone used to get into Drexel, and that was the thing. Like everyone gets into Drexel, so I was like, oh my god, like how could I? Everyone from our school, like that was the impression that everyone got in. Truly, not everyone got in, but a lot of people did get in, and a lot of people from our school did go there. So when I got accepted, I think I applied to tons of schools. I graduated with the 4.0. My SAT was great, but I only got waitlisted to one school and I got into Drexel. And I remember saying to like my friends, I don't want to go to Drexel. I'd rather take a gap year than go to Drexel. A gap year for high school, going from high school to college. What does that even mean? I got a scholarship, but I still didn't want to go just because like in my mind, I wanted something else for myself. But I'm very thankful that I did end up going to Drexel. I think I wouldn't be myself. It was a very integral part of who I am. So I definitely appreciate you for speaking on that because a lot of times we have expectations of what we want for ourselves, but sometimes we don't really know what is best for ourselves in certain decisions. So I'm really thankful that you talked about that. And I'm thankful that you saw it through and that you emerged as the doctor you are. So now so now moving into you've just wrapped up your program, you are getting ready to go into practice. Are you taking a pause? What are the future steps for you right now?
This has actually been such a difficult, like, back and forth that I've had for
Okay.
like 6, 7 months now, because I, during the pandemic, everyone kind of paused a bit. And I
Yeah.
guess, like, I got into, like, finance things, like trading and stocks, and because no one was
Okay,
doing
money girl. Money. Okay.
like, what are people doing? So my friends and I kind of got into, like, just talking about companies and money and stocks and buying stocks and using money and buying crypto and using crypto, like, all of that I got into during the pandemic.
Mhm.
And so I applied for an internship at Goldman, their spring week, because I wanted to just find out what people who did that as a job did.
Mhm.
Then I went to the spring week, after that into a summer internship, did a summer internship in sales and trading at Goldman last year.
Mhm.
And then after that, didn't get a return offer from Goldman,
Mhm.
but I ended up applying to jobs this year. And I only applied to investment banking jobs
Wow.
and applied to top of companies, got interviewed by Barclays Investment Banks, got the job. I really do not know how that happened.
Wow, God is good.
But
That's great.
and the team ended up being healthcare M&A. So, like, health,
Mm.
like, mergers and acquisitions in
Wow.
investment. So I got that offer November 1st last year. And then obviously this year we've all matched into, like, the rotations and the locations. And I've also matched into, like, setting, like, rotations in, like, my career. So, like,
Mhm.
let me explain it a bit. You guys
Yes.
match specialties in America
Yeah. Yeah.
and locations of specialties. We do something called foundation year for 2 years. And in foundation year, you rotate a specialty every 4 months. So it comes as a 2-year block. So you end up doing 6 different specialties in 2 years. But we match locations, and so we match locations, and then in locations we match deaneries. So deaneries will just be like, so I'm in London, it'll be South East London, Southwest
Okay.
London, North London. So I matched to London,
Oh
and
wow,
then
you finally ended up in London, like you wanted from the
not only
beginning. That's
not only
great.
did I match in London, I matched to the hospital. It's like 20 minutes away from my house. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And Barclays' job is also in London. So I've had to sort of with the two options for a very long time, just to think where I want my career to go.
Of course.
Because when you ask loads of people, they will say to you, do your foundation year. Because we graduate with a provisional license and we have to work in a hospital for 1 year. So you have to do foundation year 1 to get a confirmation license. And so loads of people said, like, do S1, get a confirmation license. But then on the other end, there's Barclays, right? So
Mhm.
I only just made my decision yesterday. Like, I made my decision ago, but I only just officially, so I withdrew from my foundation year
Okay.
rotation. I'm
Okay.
gonna put that one on pause, and I'm gonna do Barclays.
Wow.
And so I'm gonna do Barclays. I almost 2 years. People who I've spoken to don't think I'm gonna go back to medicine after I've done Barclays, but, like, I'm not putting that on myself because I know, like, everyone's journey ends up being different. Like,
Yeah.
so I guess in terms of career wise, I'm not gonna practice medicine for at least next year. And I'm going to
Wow.
do the Barclays investment banking healthcare job,
Wow.
and I just see how that goes. But it's not a decision that is, like, light to make, I feel.
Mhm. Yeah, you definitely took your time too, because I remember you had mentioned it when we did our pre-interview, but wow, that is exciting. I'm so happy for you. So excited for what is to come. And I
Like,
love that the job that you're going into, even though it's kind of pivoted into the investment space, it still has that healthcare aspect that you already bring to the table. So that's great.
I
Um,
it'll also be a year for me to just, I know, just be honest with myself and also just explore more because, like, and I say be honest with myself, like, if I go into there thinking I'm not supposed to be here, I need to be at least honest enough to take that move and be like, I may have, I don't want to say I made a mistake, 'cause I don't think anything
yeah.
is really a predisposed, but honest enough to be like, sure, I did the job and it was great, but I don't think this is where I belong in. Or vice versa, saying to myself, I know you went to medical school, and this is the thing, you go to medical school for so long, you almost have an identity, like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to practice.
Yep.
To be able to say to myself, I know that's what you wanted to do, but that is not what is going to happen. So I think going into the year, that's kind of my mindset. It's like, at some point, having an honest conversation with myself and being like, where do you think this goes?
Wow. Thank you for being honest about that. Because it sounds like you're still becoming, you're still actively processing it, but you've already made the decision. One, to complete medical school is no small feat. To get that degree is no small feat. And to then make this decision as well is no small feat as well. One of the things I love that Antoinette said in her pre-interview is that she loves to be uncomfortable. She loves to be uncomfortable because it challenges her. I personally don't like I like to grow, and I like to grow, but I don't like to be uncomfortable. So what are some uncomfortable, or rather, what is an uncomfortable situation that you can share that really helps you grow in your medical journey? And what is some advice you can share to someone going through uncomfortable situations in their journey as well?
Um, that's a good question. I'm trying to think what I would term as uncomfortable.
And uncomfortable can be like a moment of like struggle, or a moment of like where things weren't going the way you expected, where you worked hard on something and it didn't really pan out. Like,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
I mean, I've had two very like distant ones. I think the first thing is when I first went to medical school and I went to Sheffield. That's the year that my mental health took such a dive. Like
Mm,
I feel like in the past years I have never like, thank God, but that moment, like that period of time, that was tough. That was
right.
and I think it was like a combination of one of the therapists I saw at some point said something like, you just went through so much over the years, and finally, like, my body just kind of like froze, and I couldn't make my bed, I couldn't go to classes, like, it got me help. I couldn't do like basic things, like I couldn't get in the shower, I couldn't bring myself to do anything. So my
Mhm.
first 4 or 5 months of medical school, I just wasn't present. If I was not there, yeah. And I think the thing about that situation is I didn't know a lot about mental health.
Mm,
I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know what I didn't know what I was feeling. So for me, all these feelings were new, and I kind of had a bit of a struggle from A levels, but I still didn't really understand, like, where is this coming from? Why do I feel
yeah.
like I can't shower? Why do I feel like I can't get off the bed or like get off the floor? Like, think, why am I crying uncontrollably for so many days? So I think that was a very big thing, because then we had the pandemic in our first year. So that
Mhm.
kind of already took that out, and like I wasn't really connecting with the course, because when you go to the other and you do A levels in Concord, you have very like close supervision from your teachers. So
Mhm.
I was very used to being like funneled, like academically, to be like, oh, you've not done this, or people seeing that, oh, this person hasn't like done this assignment, so you've not caught up with this lecture, you've not done any of this. And then I felt like in first year, I just let go. Like there were just
Mhm.
times when I just wasn't participating at all. And so we had like exams at the end of the year. They weren't like graded because of the pandemic. So they were called like formative examinations. So what we would have gotten but now it doesn't matter because they've progressed all of us to like second year, it's pandemics and like the logistics of that. And I failed. Like I got bottom 10% of the class. And then I had to have a meeting with the head of my year being like, why is your grade so low? And that's the first time in my life that anyone has ever said to me, you failed. And I'm like, I need to get this together. So I think that was a very mental note to myself, but also like logistically, I had to get things together. So I had to get a therapist. I like got medication. I spoke to I just put things in place. So I'm like, okay, I somehow scaled this, but I'm not gonna scale this again if I don't get my shit together. Literally.
Yeah.
So
Not
then
she's swearing on my podcast. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah.
and so second year, when we had exams, I remember that being very tough because I failed in first year, I just wasn't sure what was gonna happen. So I remember like studying every day, but being like, you were bottom 10% last year. Like, so there was so much anxiety with that, like trying to study, even just like thinking about how to study, because there's a lot of information. There isn't that much like people are on your case, like figuring out like
Very self-directed.
exactly, very self-directed. And then I had like some processing. I had like a learning disability like discovered because of everything that was going on. So I used to find it very hard to study. So it was like even figuring out like where to study, how to study. Like I got a mentor given to me by medical school to like check all my work. But again, I say that since that's the first time that there's been a microscope on me academically. You know, like that's the first time I haven't just been like this super A-star students, like alien. Meanwhile, the university student that everyone has to be checking up on. Like, is Antoinette doing this work? Like, we organized, we emailed Antoinette. Like, it was a very interesting experience. And I think the second thing was, I guess when I was deciding to take the USMLE, because I did the USMLE and I failed, actually. This is the first time that I'm ever saying I failed USMLE because lots of people don't even know I did it. So
I didn't even know. Okay, this is step one. Step one.
Step one. I think that came with a lot of things. I think I took the test prematurely. I in my third year of university when I should have waited one more year because a lot of the content I had to learn on my own, and I should have an extra year for my med school to kind of cover a chunk of that as well to kind of help in my learning. But when I thought the USMLE to start was, you put in so much work to that thing. That was a year of me studying and taking it.
Wow.
And I remember opening it and seeing fail and just feel like, not again. Like, there's no way that this is happening. And we had exams later that year, like our actual like some medical school exams. And again, it was the same thing of I just failed an exam. I don't know that I can pass this one. So again, I'm studying with all this anxiety, being like, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to pass this one. But you know, thank God we're here. So far.
Wow. My gosh. Wow, Antoinette. I'm saying wow because one, I love the honesty and vulnerability. I applaud you for telling us the truth. I applaud you for telling people this because failure is something that is consistent in the lives of successful people. So I'm thankful that you're giving people a lens or a peek into the life of a successful person and what it really takes to get there.